Objectives: to develop a basic understanding of the components of an ecosystem, to understand some of the interactions between them, to look at some mechanisms that control them, and appreciate the importance of biodiversity. Ecology is the branch of science dealing with the relationships of organisms with their environment and each other. The study of ecology embraces four major areas: the biosphere, ecosystems, communities, and populations. The biosphere is the parts of the Earth where life exists. This is a global ecosystem composed of living organisms and non-living factors from which they derive their energy and nutrients. Ecosystems are comprised of non-living components such as climate factors and living components, producers, consumers, and decomposers. These are the major elements of all ecosystems. These components will reveal themselves dramatically in the African grasslands biome. A food chain is the simplest illustration of trophic levels, which are the positions that organisms occupy in a food chain based on feeding behavior. Ecosystems are made up of many food chains comprising a food web. The relationship between the organisms in a food web is complex and interdependent. At the base of the food web are the photosynthesizing plants. Solar energy is absorbed by producers, which produce food through photosynthesis. Consumers eat producers and upon death decompose their breakdown products, forming a nutrient pool for producers, thus completing the cycle. Animals chew on the bark of the baobab tree during the dry season. Water is stored in its trunk to survive the dry season. Thorns protect leaves of the acacia tree from large herbivores. Grasses go dormant during the dry season and regrow during the rainy season. Photosynthesis captures energy, whereas respiration releases energy. Photosynthesis produces food, whereas respiration breaks down food. Photosynthesis occurs in chloroplasts, whereas respiration occurs in mitochondria. Grazers eat different parts or growth or different types of grass. Some species are prone to migration. Browsers eat leaves at different levels, stages of growth, or different plant species. Seeds are germinated by passing through the digestive tracts of grazers and browsers. Dung is a source of nutrients for the grasslands. Zebras eat the tallest grasses while wildebeest prefer shorter ones. Grazing herbivores coexist by eating different plant species. Different preferences allow many species of grazers to coexist. During the annual Great Migration, over 1.5 million wildebeest, 200,000 zebra, and a host of other antelope travel across the Mara-Serengeti ecosystem in search of grazing and water. During this time, thousands of animals are taken by predators and thousands more are born, replenishing the numbers and sustaining the population. Wildebeest are accompanied by large numbers of zebra and smaller numbers of gazelles. Pregnant females are attracted to calcium-rich grass, which is good for milk production. The precise timing of the migration is entirely dependent upon rainfall patterns each year and alternates between Kenya's Masai Mara and Tanzania's Serengeti. Ostriches are omnivores but tend to favor roots, leaves, and seeds. Their diet also consists of lizards, locusts, snakes, and rodents. They eat sand and pebbles which aid in digestion of food inside their gizzard, where food is crushed before it arrives in the stomach. Grass makes up much of the diet of baboons, along with berries, leaves, roots, bark, and sap. They also eat insects and small quantities of meat. Elephants push over trees, which maintains grassland ecosystems, excavate water holes, and fertilize land, which helps other animals thrive. They are a keystone species, meaning that they play a critical role in their ecosystem. Their dung is full of seeds, which spreads germination across the environment. Black rhinoceros feed on items such as twigs, woody shrubs, small trees, legumes, and grass. They show a preference for acacia and euphorbia species, and prefer to stay close to a water source. Giraffes are another keystone African herbivore. While feeding, they are pruning and distributing seeds across the terrain. Bats excrete the seeds of the fruit they consume in their droppings, disseminating them across large areas as they fly, thus contributing to the species and genetic diversity of forests. A spider hunting for insects is a predator. If a lizard eats the spider, it becomes prey. Birds occupy a variety of niches in the African grasslands. Grassland birds feed mainly on insects, including beetles, grasshoppers, caterpillars, and flies, as well as spiders. Coastal species will also consume tiny crustaceans and mollusks. Seed eaters consume primarily the seeds of grasses, weeds, and berries. In addition, there are many species of raptors, or birds of prey, and scavengers. The marabou stork is a scavenger which feeds on carrion. The yellow-billed hornbill is an omnivorous ground feeder. This stork eats mainly fish, frogs, and crabs. Flamingos eat shrimp, snails, and algae. This stork eats mostly small, freshwater fish. The heron eats several fish per day. This bird eats arthropods and small vertebrates. This bird eats bees and other flying insects. These guinea fowl eat weed seeds, insects, and worms. East Africa has nearly 100 species of raptors, or birds of prey. Raptors hunt and feed on mammals, reptiles, amphibians, insects, rodents, and other birds. Raptors have very keen vision that allows them to detect their prey during flight. They also have powerful talons and hooked beaks for tearing flesh. Africa supports breeding populations of over 20% of all raptor species globally. Most species are declining under human pressure. Research and conservation will be critical for successful raptor conservation in Africa. Snakes play an integral role in maintaining balance in the ecosystem. They may be either predator or prey. When a large prey population attracts and sustains a large snake population, many snakes become prey for birds, mammals, and even other snakes. Some species of snakes specialize in preying on other snakes. Snakes are particularly effective in maintaining control of rodent populations. There are 125 species of snakes in East Africa. The rock python is a constrictor that prefers marshes and riverbanks where its prey can be found. The boomslang is a diurnal venomous snake with a preferred diet of chameleons and tree lizards. The venom of this snake is a combination of neurotoxins and cardiotoxins. Cats play a key role in ecosystem balance. The loss of an apex predator will disrupt the food chain, causing it to spiral out of control. Prey population will explode, overgrazing and degrading the health of the landscape. The importance of predators in ecosystem function is being increasingly recognized around the world. Without predators like the cheetah, the grasslands ecosystem would be very different, accelerating the trend toward a desert. During the last ice age, the world's population of cheetahs plummeted to just a handful of individuals. This event caused an extreme reduction of the cheetah's genetic diversity. Physiological impairments result from low genetic diversity in wild cheetah populations. Today, cheetahs are found in only 9% of their historic range and are considered to be functionally extinct. Adult mortality is one of the most significant factors for the growth and survival of the world cheetah population. The diet of these nocturnal carnivorous cats includes a variety of animals, such as jackals, gazelles, monkeys, wildebeest, birds, rodents, and snakes. They obtain all required moisture from their food and can survive without drinking water for long periods of time. Leopards are among the top predators of their habitat, controlling the numbers and health of wild ungulate populations. They tend to gorge on their kill and will rest for several days while their food digests. Leopard populations are in steep decline across Africa. Lions are obligate carnivores as they only consume meat for nourishment. They do not have the enzymes necessary to digest vegetation. Lions create competition via natural selection. As they prey on herd animals, they take down the weakest, which keeps the prey population resilient, as those who are weak or diseased will be eliminated. A lion chasing prey can run 100 yards in 6 seconds. It is estimated that lions in the wild may be near extinction by 2050. The role of a keystone species is unappreciated until it is gone. Crocodiles are apex predators in the river environment. They keep carnivorous fish species in check. These fish eat other fishes, which are the diet of more than 40 species of birds. Ecologists maintain that extinction of crocodiles would disrupt and damage the ecosystem. Hippos are nocturnal grazers and sustain an entire food chain. They transport large quantities of silicon, an important substance to ecosystems, from land to water. Organic matter produced by hippos is a source of nutrition for a variety of river fish and insects. Some species of river fish feed on the nutrients from hippo dung. Stable isotopes have been used as chemical markers to trace the flow of organic matter from hippos to the tissues of river fish. Fruiting trees grow beside the water, using their submerged roots to absorb nutrients. Below the water's surface, invertebrates, which feed on hippo dung, are preyed upon by fish, which in turn are consumed by birds such as darters and cormorants. About 70% of hyenas' diet is composed of direct kills. They consume animals of various types and sizes, carrion, bones, vegetable matter, and other animals' droppings. Their jaws are among the strongest of any mammal. Their jaws and digestive tract allow them to process and obtain nutrients from skin and bones. The only parts of prey not fully digested are hair, horns, and hooves. These are regurgitated as pellets. Jackals are omnivorous and opportunistic. They usually forage in pairs, pouncing on insects, rodents, and lizards. They are often seen around lion kills, darting in to grab bits of meat. There are 11 species of vultures in Africa, and they clear up to 70% of the continent's carrion. Unique adaptations make these birds successful scavengers. Updrafts allow them to cover great distances, while strong eyesight enables them to easily detect potential meals. Low pH levels in their stomachs help to digest rotting meat quickly and efficiently. Old World vultures do not have a well-developed sense of smell and thus locate their meals by sight. Vultures are opportunistic feeders, and when prey is abundant, will gorge themselves until their crop is full, after which they will sit in a half-torpid state to digest their food. When multiple vulture species descend upon a carcass, there is a well-defined pecking order. Decomposers use non-living organic matter as a source of energy and raw materials to build their bodies. Many small animals, bacteria, and fungi will fill this niche. Millipedes eat decaying plant material, which passes through their bodies and fertilizes the soil, recycling nutrients. Slugs also recycle organic matter back into the soil. Fungi, together with bacteria, break down organic matter and release carbon dioxide, oxygen, nitrogen, and phosphorus into the soil and atmosphere. Some key environmental functions are summarized here. Pollination is a critical service to all ecosystem functions. An estimated 2/3 of all flowering plants depend on animals, largely insects, for pollination. It is a vital link connecting plants and animals in essential ways. Ecosystems such as grasslands are a critical part of the global water cycle. All fresh water ultimately depends on the continued health and functioning of ecosystems, and recognizing the water cycle as a biophysical process is essential to this understanding. The water cycle shows continuous movement of water within the earth and atmosphere. It is a complex system that includes many different processes such as precipitation, condensation, evaporation, respiration, and transpiration. Without fires, many savannas and the animals they support would not exist. Plants accumulate their seeds in the soil, seed banks, and the high temperatures or presence of fire act as a trigger for germination. Vegetation that is burned by the fire provides a rich source of soil nutrients. Mature grasses extend more of their biomass below the ground where it is protected from subsequent fires. Fire can also help prevent fire-intolerant trees and shrubs from taking over while increasing the diversity of wildflowers that support pollinators. The CO2 released by fires is reabsorbed by the growth of grass. Therefore, such fires are nearly carbon neutral within a year. The ecological niche of an organism depends not only on where it lives, but also on what it does. By analogy, it may be said that the habitat is the organism's address, and the niche is its profession, biologically speaking. Dung beetles have evolved to fill many ecological niches. Through manipulating feces during the feeding process, they initiate a series of ecosystem functions ranging from secondary seed dispersal to nutrient recycling and parasite suppression. The oxpecker is dependent upon its host for food. It eats ticks, flies, and other insects and blood from grazing animals. The oxpecker receives nourishment while its host receives pest control. Malaria is transmitted by females of the mosquito genus Anopheles. Female mosquitoes take blood meals for egg production, and these blood meals are the link between the human and mosquito hosts in the parasite life cycle. The mosquito is the vector or carrier of the Plasmodium microorganism that causes the disease. An infected mosquito takes a blood meal from a person. Within that person, the Plasmodium organism goes through developmental stages in their liver and blood. A second mosquito taking a blood meal from this infected person picks up the Plasmodium organism, and the cycle continues. Homeostasis is a steady state or dynamic equilibrium in an ecosystem. Conditions are held more or less constant despite changes in biotic or abiotic factors. Ecosystems are dynamic in nature. Their characteristics fluctuate over time, depend on changes in the environment and populations of various species. Complex ecosystem interactions can keep its numbers and types of organisms relatively constant over long periods of time under stable conditions. As the predator population increases, it consumes more prey until the prey population begins to decline. The declining prey population no longer supports the large predator population, which in turn declines, allowing prey populations to rebound. All elements in an ecosystem are connected to each other, abiotic and biotic factors. All processes in the ecosystem link together in a complex arrangement, food web. All natural ecosystems are stable or maintain a state of balance or equilibrium. Systems that do not maintain equilibrium do not survive. Everything that lives in an ecosystem is part of the web of life, including humans. Each species of vegetation and each creature has a place on the earth and plays a vital role in the circle of life. Plant, animal, and insect species interact and depend upon one another for what each offers, such as food, shelter, oxygen, and soil enrichment. Maintaining a wide diversity of species in each ecosystem is necessary to preserve the web of life that sustains all living things. Biodiversity has contributed in many ways to the development of human culture, and in turn, human communities have played a major role in shaping the diversity of nature at the genetic, species, and ecological levels. Grasslands are facing some of the highest rates of conversion and degradation of any biome. Unsustainable agricultural production is the main cause. A lack of awareness of their value contributes to their vulnerability, resulting in limited global action. Cooperation for mutual benefit, a survival strategy very common in natural systems, is one that humanity needs to emulate.